We are now 196 days away from the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, and with each and every month that passes by, we are not only getting closer to the official trailer 2 of Episode 9, but we're also getting closer to the official release of this movie, in order to see exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So, one aspect of Episode 9 that a lot of people are really curious about has all to do with exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to handle the characters of Luke, Kylo Ren, and even Rey in this story. And that's one aspect that I think a lot of fans are really, curious about as to exactly how it's going to compare against both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting. Now, specifically, a description of a sequence that is said to involve Luke's Force Ghost sitting down in front of Rey in front of a large Jedi temple, where Jedi ruins are seen in the background. It's described to be a moment in which Luke is telling a story to Rey about a moment of his past, where it's described that it eventually cuts to a flashback of Luke, where he is witnessing his Jedi temple beginning to collapse in flames, where once it does, it's described that Luke turns around in response to hearing a ship's engine beginning to activate, where Luke is said to speedwalk toward the destination, where he sees Ben Solo striking down a Jedi student with his lightsaber, where he then boards a handful of Luke's surviving Jedi on a strange-looking shuttle. It's said to be a moment where Luke activates his green lightsaber in response, where Ben Solo looks at Luke Skywalker with his blue saber ignited, where the ship is said to leave the surface as Kylo stands by the opening of the back of the ship. It's implied that the Knights of Ren pick up Kylo Ren, and then that's how he escapes the planet, extending the sequence in which Luke told Rey he told in, of course, The Last Jedi, where he took a handful of his students and slaughtered the rest. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, this scene is said to be a moment that extends the flashback and changes the flashback that we saw in Episode 8 by Rian Johnson. Now, it does make sense because if you think about it this way, we do know that J.J. Abrams didn't really get a chance to experiment with Luke at all. If you look at what J.J. Abrams was able to do with Luke in Star Wars Episode 7, he didn't really have much at all to work with. He had the Force-back vision in which we see a hooded Luke placing his hand on R2, that was the one shot, and the last shot was Luke Skywalker pulling the hood off of his head. That's all JJ literally got to work with the character of Luke Skywalker and what he was able to do with Mark Hamill. Now, of course, there were some deleted scenes that were scrapped and will never see the light of day for The Force Awakens, but that's exactly how he's going to use a lot of inspiration and incorporating that inspiration into Episode 9. So with that being said, I want to go over how this illustrates the slaughter of Luke Skywalker's new generation of Jedi, as well as the abduction of his surviving Jedi, something that we have never seen before on the big screen. Now, to this day, we've never really seen Luke's Jedi students alive, and that's one thing that we will see that we went over a couple of months ago, but this is something different. Now, this is where it really begins to become very confusing, because a lot of people are wondering, are the Knights of Ren Luke Skywalker's ex-Jedi students? What really happened to them? And exactly what's really going on here? Now, as confirmed by Vanity Fair just a couple of weeks ago, they were actually able to confirm that it was the Knights of Ren who turned Kylo Ren to the dark side first before Supreme Leader Snoke. Snoke was basically just the last piece of the puzzle that really caused Kylo Ren to fully turn, but it was really introduced by the Knights of Ren. So the Knights existed well before Kylo even turned to the dark side, and that really does open up a big question. What really happened to Luke Skywalker's new generation of Jedi, the ones that survived? Is J.J. Abrams really going to answer this in full, or is he just going to show us Kylo Ren taking them on board like what we just went over, and leaving Luke Skywalker's planet and location of his Jedi temple? Now that to me, it really is a very important thing to get right, because this is a major piece of continuity that needs to follow exactly what was said by Luke in The Last Jedi. So in The Last Jedi, he tells Rey, he vanished with a handful of my students and slaughtered the rest. So he vanished with a handful of his students. That could be anywhere from 3, 4, maybe even 7 Jedi that Luke Skywalker trained, for all we know. But the other thing is this, alright? When we think about it this way, there could very well be more Knights of Ren than we already know of. there's a possibility that the 6 Knights of Ren that we do see in the promotional art and stuff like that, and the images that we got by Vanity Fair, is just a ruse. It could very well be a ruse because there could very well be 12 Knights of Ren, maybe 8 Knights of Ren, maybe there's 2 others for all we know that are going to be heavily force sensitive with lightsabers. Anything can really happen at this point, but this flashback in particular that's explained to Rey by Luke's Force Ghost that allows to give a visual narrative of what Luke Skywalker witnessed of Kylo Ren taking his students away is going to allow us, the fans, to actually see this event happening on the big screen. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night